welcome to the new series of lecture about the Winawer Gambit variation in Semi-Slav defense. So usually we are working lately on E4 lines from white and from black side, following the main ideas of the Gambit guide as fast development, fight over the center squares, and quite interesting Gambit line was discovered more than 100 years ago by Polish, quite famous Polish-Russian chess player Szymon Winawer, who played for the first time this variation after c4, c6 and knight c3, e7, e5. So very sharp, aggressive Gambit line, so in which black is ready to sacrifice the pawn on e5 in order just to destroy white's normal development, and after, in case of d takes e5, just to answer d4, just fighting for initiative. So when white's knight on c3 is under threat and black is ready to play in many different situations very actively, bishop b4, queen a5, c5 and knight c6, trying to keep the strong pawn on d4. So the first and most important game, of course, was played in 1901 between the Frank Marshall and Szymon Winawer in Monte Carlo tournament. So when for the first time this idea was played. But of course I would like just to show you just how we got it. D5 is a classical response on d4 when black is taking control over the e4 square, just not allowing white to reach the strong center control. Now in case of c4, so once again we studied the aggressive Albin's control gambit with e7, e5. Also Shara gambit here in case of e6, knight c3, c5, c takes d5 and c takes d4. And finally, after d4, d5, c4. So of course black is not capturing, which leads to the queen's gambit accepted variation. Plays c6. This is one of the most interesting and quite modern ways of play of defense for black side after d4. So the Semi-Slav defense today, one of the most popular defense, so which leads to the very interesting complications. So what has mostly two main continuations: knight c3 on knight f3. So what's the big difference? So after c4, white tried to increase the pressure over the center, and by playing knight c3, so white is not only increasing once again the pressure over the d5, but also takes more control over the e4 square. So let's say if black is not counter-attacking here with knight f6, that white could just continue playing e4 with the next move. For instance, if black is playing some wrong move like a6, white simply captures the center control after e2, e4, just getting quite serious advantage in space after d takes e4 and knight takes e4. The theory, of course, recommends here for black to play e6, which could lead to the quite interesting gambit line after e4, Slav gambit as we call it. And the main line, of course, is knight f6, after which black is trying to set more control over the e4 square, so just preventing white from playing e4. And what we are going to study today, at some point of the chess history, this e7, e5 move just becomes quite interesting line, which